Welcome to the new episode of All That Jazz. I'm your host, Matias, and I have with me Michel O'Hare. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Matt.
Um, so um, let's start. You have an interesting life. I know you're a doc student now, but let's start in the beginning because I think people appreciate others that have gone through adversity and stuff. Yeah. Okay, so a lot of people grow up in dysfunctional families. So what was your family like?
Let's see.
The deep breath.
um, well, after my parents divorced, it's like before then, but my mom got with my stepdad, and I don't know. I guess the best way to describe my family was like a three-ring circus of perpetrator and victim. So
Oh man.
I'll I'll explain that. So my stepdad, he yeah, he victimized me like my whole life until I ran away.
Mm,
And my mom was like, I don't know, she claimed to be the innocent bystander, like she was the victim and everything. And that's pretty much how it rolled in childhood.
right.
Um,
So what age
yeah,
did
so I
you
was yeah.
escape pretty much?
I ran away at 17.
17. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, last time we spoke. I mean, you talked about church camp, which I thought was hilarious. Um, what happened?
Okay. All right. So it was like when I was like abused and stuff, it was almost like an inside job. And so it was like, I don't know, it's almost like what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas sort of thing. And so there was this particular time that I went to church camp, and I had told about being molested. And and so of course the authorities were called and such, and so then I wasn't allowed to participate anymore because you know the secret was out, I guess.
But
So
I don't understand. Like, if you were abused, then why were you singled out as weird? Because you're clearly not the perpetrator.
right, so when authorities would come, and this has happened like multiple times
Mm,
throughout childhood, even into the teenage years. And so, what the authorities need you to do, and I think their system is really probably could use some editing, but they want you. They'll leave you after you give like a statement, and they speak to you. They'll leave you home with the family. And so
mm,
so then the next day you're expected to do like a written sworn statement and then to move on from there. And so my mom would tell me that I was going to put us on the streets, that they would probably separate us or something like that, and I didn't want to hurt my family. You know what I mean? Like I love my family. That's why I stayed as long as I did.
mm.
So I would take it back, and I remember specifically this CID agent. It was with the army, and he knew I was lying, but there was nothing that he could do about it when I took it back. And so I would go into counseling, and so they would make me look like this problem child. So I'd have to get on like a behavior chart and earn the right to do certain things, and yeah, it was pretty twisty.
Wow. All because you were abused and then you were singled out as an outcast and problem child in
Mhm.
camp even. Wow. I would think that would be the one place where they would help you and or the priest would be somebody to talk to. Well, I guess not. It's like,
I don't know very much like how they took it. I mean, because a lot of people would, they knew like my stepdad. He was perceived as this nice guy, you know.
Right. Appearance, right.
So yeah, absolutely. But I wasn't allowed to go back, so I don't know how it was perceived in that way.
Hmm. It's really so. Then you run away at 17, and obviously with probably a lot of trauma and maybe PTSD or stuff like that, and that probably doesn't end well.
Yeah, I went through. I ran away for a while, and the cops would come and try to find me because my parents had put me as a runaway, and it's actually illegal to run away.
Hmm.
And and so eventually I turned myself in, and I went to a, oh gosh, yeah, while I was running away and stuff, sometimes when you run out of places to stay, you have to stay at certain places and stuff. And
Like,
I
where
was
would you stay at 17 years old?
I would stay with my friends, and that helped me run away, that I was friends with in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I didn't want to keep bringing heat to them. So an ex-boyfriend had offered for me to stay somewhere, and yeah, it was the first time I really did weed, and I got really high, and and he raped me, and so it was like that was more trauma added
Yeah,
on to
when
it.
you said that a guy offers to for a girl to stay over, I don't know. Usually, seems to me the stories I've heard usually is not a good sign.
It depends on the person.
Yeah, yeah.
It definitely depends. From there, yeah, after that, I turned myself in, and I went to a halfway house
Mm-hmm.
and waited to, uh, what is that called? I wasn't like adopted, but it was what is that? Foster home. Yeah. So I went to foster care, and the people that are foster parents. But I know she did the best she could. From there, my real dad, I contacted them, and he came and got me. And I moved to Mississippi from there, where
Oh
I was at.
wow, Mississippi down south.
Yeah, well, that's actually where I'm originally from. I was up in Washington State when all
What?
when I ran away. Yeah, I mean, my stepdad was military, so we like moved all over the place.
Oh, I see. Okay. And
Yeah,
that probably adds another layer too. Like you have to move schools, and you keep being like the new kid in the school.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Was that any fun being the new kid at school, or is that like always like is that an opportunity to reinvent yourself in a way, or is it always like oh snap, here we go again?
I think it's both because there's a lot of anxiety with like not knowing. And I've never had a problem talking to people and making friends, whether they were good friends or not. I mean, I was able to find like my niche after a little bit. I think I
Mm.
just got used to it, to be honest. So, and just kind of like trucked on.
Oh yeah, like kids are resilient. They will adapt to having to be adaptable, I guess.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. A good way to put it.
so being in foster care and all that, that I guess that was a step up in a way from where you were before.
In ways, I mean, in ways, because it's like, it was all new territory. I was used to having a mom and having five younger siblings, and it was all new territory. And it was like, well, what's next?
Right, right.
Where do I go from here? Yeah.
So
So
did
there
you
was like the board was kind of cleared.
right? So did you stay with them for more than a year?
You mean the foster care?
Yeah.
No, it was just probably like a few weeks, and then my
Oh,
dad
okay, okay.
got me. Yeah.
And
And
then how was with your dad?
uh, my dad was like not, he was only in the picture like when he would get a new wife to kind of look like that outstanding, dad or something like that.
uh
So this time luckily had a new wife, and she's like, oh yes, bring her here, and so I come down there, and yeah, he had a whole lot of problems. I mean, he was doing a lot of drugs, and things were just continuing to escalate. I wasn't aware of what was going on behind the scenes until later on when my stepmom shared that with me. But yeah, it wasn't that good. I didn't have any supervision. I mean, when you're 17 and you've been used to being in a lockdown kind of environment most of your life, not having supervision is, I don't know, not recommended.
right. So what happens with that freedom then once you have more freedom?
I experimented with drugs and hung out with my older cousins, and I ended up getting pregnant.
Wow. So and this is like at 18 then.
Yeah, this is
Wow.
18. Um, yeah, so the person I was with, um, yeah, he's a piece of work. But I had my first son. His name's Skylar, and yeah, it was funny. Like his parents, Greg is his name, thought, well, if we get them a trailer, that we have to pay rent on, and get them some furniture, everything's gonna be fine. Dude can never keep a job. This was the antidote. And so we were in our little trailer with our cute little wicker furniture, and he ended up
Wow.
turning into being like quite a psychopath. He and was abusive, and he would take Skylar, like when when it was just like a manipulation thing.
So hold on, I didn't hear everything. So he would manipulate you with your son basically.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow. Like what would he say?
Um, he would say, he would tell me that I was a terrible parent and stuff, and or I'm effed up or something, and he would just take Skylar and leave in my car. The thing is that time, in the laws of Mississippi, when you're married, the man has complete, rights over, all your stuff. So yes, he could take my kid, my
Oh
car,
wow.
and take off, and that was just fine. So
Wow.
I didn't have very much self-esteem at that time. So, I mean, there really wasn't much that I was capable of at
Wow. This is like
that time.
well, this could be a weird movie.
I
Something would
told you.
happen.
We didn't even talk about childhood that much. We just kind
Man,
of glazed over it. So, I mean,
I, I'm just taking the baby. I'm leaving.
yeah, totally, man.
Oh man, that's with the cigarettes and everything. Was he drinking whiskey too, right?
He had cigarettes. Yeah, definitely.
I feel it. There's always whenever there's a scene in the trailer, there's always cigarettes around. It's bound to happen. Like a
um,
trailer should be pre-installed with cigarettes already inbuilt. Anyway,
yeah. I
um,
was I was I was pretty determined though. I mean, like I was still going to college, and
wow.
I ended up having to get a night job because well, like I said, he was a piece of work, and he wasn't capable of much either. Um
Meaning much
and
damage or much good.
much of anything, it's like he didn't
Hmm.
have much to offer, so he was only offering what he could. And
Right. It sounds like from what I hear from his parents, though, the expectation was you're gonna just live in a trailer and be all fine. Were his parents living in a kind of almost trailer then, or what?
No, they lived in a house and everything, and they knew their son.
All
It
right.
was just like a denial thing
Okay. Okay.
because it was all my fault, in the end, I ruined him or something lovely like that,
Oh yeah, this girl from Washington State came down and ruined everything. Ruined our
Yeah.
boy. Oh my goodness.
I know, right? Gotta stay away from me. I'm dangerous.
S- So you end up did you what did you graduate in? Sorry.
Oh, I did, and I was going to school for psychology.
Oh, okay.
I had became really fascinated with it when I was in eighth grade. It was like um, I saw different therapists, because I would take it back when my stepfather did things to me, and I'd have to go into counseling, and there was such incompetency, and I saw that I saw that in eighth grade, and I was like, I really want to help people. And so that was like, I don't know, I felt that very deeply. Like I don't want someone to have that same experience I did, was my reflection on things.
Hmm.
So there I was, trying to get that degree. But things started to get a little bit crazy because the husband, yeah, he would people would come to help me at the house when he was beating me, and he would like greet them with a loaded gun. And other times when I was trying to call for help, he would be outside the trailer because I locked him out, and he would like cut the phone lines. It was, dude.
Okay,
So
cut the
I was
phone
like,
lines of the trailer. Be like, boom.
yeah, yeah. And
I mean,
all
back
of a
then
sudden,
there was no cell phones, so
no, that was
wow.
it. Lifeline. Yeah. So I was like, well, I need to join the army.
What?
So
Oh,
yeah,
that's not a bad idea actually. Like it's that's I guess it potentially gives you discipline though once you join the army. So what
it
happened
can
then
absolutely.
when you joined the army?
Um, well, I was. It was like the night before I was taking my ASVAB, which is the test that you take to enter into the army.
Mm-hmm.
And I was up really late because Greg had taken Skylar, and I was just, I don't know, I was just so determined. I was like, I'm gonna be able to take care of my son and myself, and I'm gonna be able to make a life for us. And so the next day, I went to my ASVAB, and I mean, I could pick pretty much whatever job I wanted. I did
Mm.
really well, and anyway, after I joined, I met with my family, and we made it like an arrangement to where Greg actually had a job. Kudos for him. But he left that morning to go for the job, and we already had it planned that my family was going to come and get my stuff. Me and Skylar were going to hide until our plane took off for us to go back to Washington, where my mom and family was.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're gonna escape back to Washington State.
I know, I know, isn't that funny? Yeah, because I was leaving Skylar with my mom while I went and did basic training and training for my job.
Hmm. So and then they were like that woman had a our grandchild and then she escaped back to where she came from.
Yeah, I know, right?
I guess I guess they were not too friendly after that. They were probably blaming you.
Oh yeah, yeah. You'll come to find out later how much blame was directed at me about all kinds of things. But
Mm.
yeah, they while I was in training, and they kept trying to take Skylar from me. So it was like basic training. You go, and it's already scary because you got these big old black drill sergeants. I mean, they're just huge, and
Oh,
and
this is in
and they're just like,
Mississippi, yeah.
no, well, no. They're I went to South Carolina,
All right.
Fort Jackson for basic training, and yeah, I remember my first formation. and I scratched my face. And I had Drill Sergeant Sims, he's this big old black guy with these big old lips, and he goes, Lewis, that was my last name at the time. He goes, Lewis, you ain't nothing but Mississippi MF and white trailer trash. And I was just like, oh. They let you have like a 30-second phone call. I'm like, Mom, I changed my mind. I want to come home. Oh my God, I could have peed on myself.
Oh man, that's an intense scene right there.
Yeah. I can feel it, man.
Oh man, yeah, I know you experienced it. Oh my goodness. And
Yeah.
so, but you stayed with it. You stayed with it.
Oh yeah, and honestly, like I look back and I have so much respect for all my drill sergeants because it was like they knew my potential and they were pushing me out of my comfort zone. You know, it's like for me to be the best expression of myself I can be. And what's amazing is that I didn't know this at the time, but the Army and the training was preparing me for later events that I really needed that discipline and I really needed that perseverance and that strength. So
I know. I met. I used to live in hostels for many years, and I met two people who were. One was in the Spanish army, and one was in the Irish army, and both were pretty incredible workers around the hostel and stuff. The because we had volunteer positions and stuff, but both were really incredible. So I see the value in that kind of because invariably it ingrains in you a kind of discipline that it's hard to learn any other way. It seems like,
yeah.
yeah. And so then you move back to Washington State. Then does life get better there?
You're laughing with this. You got that smile on your face. No. Okay.
You can laugh about it now.
So I was a single mom. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because it's really funny. So I was a single mom, and all I can say is I have a lot of respect for single moms because that is not easy. And I had a lot of trauma, and I also had a lot of selfishness.
Yep.
Because I guess coming from small self, like I didn't have a lot, you know, I shared everything growing up. I was 6. And yeah, there just wasn't a whole lot of time, you know, just for me. And so with that selfishness and stuff, I went out and I don't know, I started to lose it. It was like being a single mom and everything that goes along with that, and all the prior trauma, and then just going through basic training and everything like that. It was like it finally came to a head. It caught up with me, and I would leave my son by himself, because yeah, I would do that. I had a lot of what would you call it? Regret about that for a long time. Now I
Like just
see
at
it.
home when he was like really young.
Yeah, like at night I would put him to bed so that I could go out, and that caught up with me too. But eventually, I started doing meth. And it was really crazy. It's like those commercials, you know, it's like I was working for this band on the weekends sometimes, doing their mailing list. And one of the band members' cousin, his name was Cowboy. People have really funny nicknames. He needed a ride. He needed a ride home, and so I give him a ride home, and he's like, "You want to try this ice?" I'm like, "Sure," you know. So
Ice.
at
Oh,
that
that's how
point,
it called it.
yeah,
Ice.
there's different variations of meth. I mean, you can have like the crank, the powder, you can have the crystal meth, and then there's variations of meth, crystal meth called, uh, in case people, you know, need that kind of information.
Right.
So, and that was it for me. Like my whole like sad story, if you want to call it, is I just wanted to be loved. I just wanted to feel love, which, you know, we all do. And I just wanted to feel happy. I never experienced that yet. So when I did meth for the first time, I felt those things. And I didn't want to stop feeling that.
Mm.
And I didn't know any other way to feel that way.
Did
And
did
so
meth
it had me by
make you
the throat.
happy just the first time, or what did you make it? Did it make you happy after as well, or was it less and less?
Um, it depends. It's like after you're coming down, of course you're feeling shitty. And so it's like in the moment, I would get that same feeling. Um, and then of course I graduated to other ways of doing it. Um, uh, but Skylar, I ended up realizing that before it got too bad, I that this was not a good environment for him, and that I was going to have to get myself together. And so I gave him to his dad's parents, and he was 2 years old,
Hmm.
and my world continued to be completely devoured, like everything, like apartment, um, people, you know, any kind of people that's in normal society. And I feel like I started walking into, honestly, the pits of hell, which was in Tacoma, Washington. I mean, that these people are, they just love to watch you suffer. These people that are on meth, and it's like the drug world, and it is a world that, I mean, this might sound kind of crazy, but it's reality. Um, it's like it's a whole nother domain. There are rules and regulations. There are people that are in charge.
Wow.
Um, the people that manufacture the drugs are like gods. I mean, some people, when I'd go to their house, they would have people guarding out front, you know, like they're mafia bosses or something like that. It was, yeah, it was that. Yeah, I'm serious. And these people just want to suck your soul until there's nothing left, and just you to the side.
So
And I became a very
do they want
go
just
ahead.
money, or they want how do you know, like, get the sense that they want to like take your soul?
uh, well, they put a lot of time in it. um like when I would get high, I would blab, I would just talk. I was just this cute little kid that just would run her mouth and just enjoy herself. And so I told all my business and all my, you know, just everything about me. And you know, I had very naive. I've never been taught, you know, any kind of smarts or how to, you know, gauge people, you know, just different things like that. And I was very trusting, naive. And I, there's just one example. Okay, so there's this guy. His name was Tony, and I met him, and
Italian.
and you know, come to find out, this kid, you know, his mom was a single mom, and these like drug lord people like raised him, you know, to be like what they needed him to be.
Oh wow.
And so anyway, he met me and he had it all together. He was just like, he was everything that I wanted, you know, in a person. And I was just so amazed. And he used different things that meant something to me. Like I was very much into astrology, or and different things. And he goes, were you born in Florida? And I'm like, how did you know? Because I'm really into astrology. So anyway, like the average person would be able to see that this person's been, you know, uh, I guess equipped, you know, with all the information that he
Right.
needed. But you know, I'm high, and you know, my awareness wasn't there.
Mm.
And anyway, it's like he had this perfect representation, and then that just started to crumble. But all that was just, from what I got, was just to get me, hooked to him, involved with him, and
Like, you mean
because I got a,
romantically involved or drug?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, and and I got a paycheck from the VA, so that made me like another reason for me to be such a hot ticket, in the drug world. So
Wait. Well, why did you get a paycheck from VA? Did you were you what happened?
I was discharged from the army, and later on, I went through the Veterans Association, and they gave me 100% disability for
Oh,
PTSD.
okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I figured you had PTSD, so okay, yeah. That makes sense. But not
yeah,
because of the army, because of your childhood probably.
yeah. I mean, there was things along the way in the army, because there were different like drill sergeants
Oh yeah.
and, and different instructors and stuff like that were sexually aggressive, and that definitely put a lot of stress on a very stressful environment, because that would trigger, past things. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Wow, this is a whirlwind so far. Oh my goodness. So,
Yeah.
so how did you get out of this relationship with Tony? That Tony seems like a master manipulator.
Oh yeah, like completely. It was like there was all these people that were they're big supporters of Tony. And so I don't know, I ended up taking care of him. I took care of like this person he took care of. My helped
You
with the
faded out just a little
manufacturing
bit.
of drugs. Okay.
You said you took care of him and another person?
Yeah, I took care of him, another person, and some other people.
Mm.
Paid for the hotel room. I paid for the drugs and everything. The ingredients to make meth, because he was a cook.
But so he was one of the higher ups basically.
He was close to there, yeah.
Wow.
And I don't know. It just took a lot. It's like for at the time, like I told you, all I wanted to do was be loved. And so I think that that's the same. What I'm about to say is what a lot of people in abusive relationships, why they have a hard time moving on, is because you remember what got you attracted, or what that connection was from them in the beginning.
Mm.
And you hold on to that so long, and you're like, hoping that it comes back, that this is all just like a bad dream. And so you just keep going forward, for good or ill. So eventually he got arrested, and and that's how that finally ended. I was trying to get away from him, but he wouldn't leave me alone. And but when he got arrested, um, that kind of tied the knot there. So.
Wow. So did the police break in the hotel room or
His hotel room. Yeah, he was on the phone with me, and he wouldn't stop yelling at me, telling me that I better come get him. And anyway, someone had called for, a disturbance, and yeah, they
what?
got him.
What? Wait, he was on the phone when the police broke in?
Uh, no, we had gotten off the phone, and the police came not long after that, and so I
Oh
was
yeah.
blamed for that.
My goodness.
Trust
Wow.
me, I was people did not like me in the drug world, because well, I didn't follow the rules. And I would help people, like I would take away young girls from, different situations, and go bring them back to their moms. And
Oh, and you can't do that. You can't
I
do
know,
those
I
things.
know,
You're
I
breaking the
know.
rules of the underworld.
Yes, pretty much. And I mean, I had my car stolen like all the time, and you know, people would shoot me up with cocktails and stuff, because I started shooting up.
Well, what?
And
Sorry, I don't know what that means. Shoot you up, like,
okay, with a needle, like I used to inject.
right?
Yeah. And so
But
most of the time I would have other people do it because I would shake. And so people would take advantage and they would like put like cocaine and stuff in there and
oh,
send me into like a really like my mental state would just go crazy. It was almost like being schizophrenic at different times after that would happen.
how did you survive this period? Seems like
Yeah, I I I feel like I feel like I was very taken care of, even though it didn't look like it. The things could have gotten it could have got so bad, like really bad. Like I could have been dead. And like in different situations where I could have like honestly died, you know, there was always that little door that would open.
yeah.
And I
The
didn't
the
take.
the angel was like, she needs this escape route right here.
Yes.
She's
Yeah,
gonna
yeah, yeah.
live.
Yeah, yeah, totally. My son was like the driving, you know, it's like I wasn't making the decisions to get him back, you know, I mean, honestly. But like his memory and just the hope to have him back, just like really it kept me alive because there was many times where I wanted to kill myself and
Hmm.
just done because I was like, shit, man. um,
Wow.
can I tell you a couple of outrageous stories?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So just to give you a picture, and this was everyday life. All right. So everyone knew that I was very nice and that I love to help people. And so this person had uh, called me and said, "Hey, I need some cat food for my cat." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." And so I went to this motel. It's a motel I've seen and been to many times. And I drove up, and my driver's side window was down. And I remember I was doing something in the car, and I heard someone say, "Michelle," and I look, and I just get pepper sprayed, like all in my face, like in my eyes. It was terrible.
And you're there with the cat
And
food.
oh, oh yeah, hey, this is below 200, you know, kind of
Right,
people.
right. No, no, I'm
Um,
just, I'm just, yeah.
yeah, with the cat food, you know, coming to be helpful. And um, I couldn't see. Um, and I heard people talking, and they said, "So what are we gonna do with her?" And I'm sitting here, and just mind you, I can't see, and I'm listening to this, and I'm like, they're like, what do you want to do with her?" And they're like, "I don't know. We'll figure it out. We got some time. She's not going anywhere." And so I'm just like, "Oh my God." You know, something terrible is about to happen to me.
Mm.
And so there's like this like the fight or flight, and I don't know, but there was this inner stillness in me. It was amazing. And it was like, okay, I know where I'm at. Pacific Avenue's right there. I have to get across Pacific Avenue without getting flattened because it's a very, very busy street. um, I said, okay, I need to go this way. When and my car was off, I was like, okay, so when I start the car, you're gonna have to get out of there, Michelle, because they're gonna come. So you don't have time to fuck around. You know,
Mm.
yeah. So I took a deep breath, and I had this big Tasmanian devil stuffed animal in my passenger seat because I was done giving people rides, and that was my way of saying I don't have room in my car
Right.
because of the stuff that would happen when I would give people rides.
Right.
So anyway, I wiped my face, I wiped my eyes on that, and it burned, you know, but I wiped my eyes on that Tasmanian devil doll, and I started my car, and I backed up, and I started there, and I heard people going, "What the," you know, and they're coming out of the hotel room. I mean, and there was multiple people coming out of their hotel rooms. chasing me. Even the people that worked in the office were coming out and running after me. They were all in on it. It's really, really insane.
They wanted to
And
rob the car,
I
basically,
just,
or what? What do you think were their
no, I don't
intentions?
know what they wanted. I think they were going to, I think they were going to kill me.
Wow.
I think they had enough to take my identity, because that's a big thing in the drug world, is to take people's identities. And I believe that they had enough information to do that, if they, and so to be successful,
Wait, somebody
um,
else meant to be you then?
I'm saying that that's a big thing in that world, that people
Mm,
take people's identities. And in order for it to be like something substantial, like I get a disability check every month. And they knew exactly when I got it, and
right.
I didn't have any like gun charges or anything on my record at that time.
Right,
So
right.
it was a,
Sorry,
so
back to the
that was
story.
a,
So you back up.
okay. I backed up and I'm getting out of there, and you got all these people running after me, and I'm just like, I'm looking at my rearview mirror, still wiping my eyes, and I'm like, what is, you know, going on? Uh, so I got across Pacific Avenue and I got to where I lived at the time. It's amazing.
Wow.
Um, yeah. Um, then there's another story where there's this guy. His nickname was Spaz.
Faz.
If you meet someone and their nickname Spaz, don't hang out with them. I mean, that just says it all. Um,
Yeah.
his name was Eric Farrell, and we were hanging out, and I ended up going with him to Vashon Island. That's an island right off of the coast of Washington State. And I was helping him. I was helping him go get his stuff, because when he was in jail, when he got arrested, all his stuff was still at Vashon Island.
Mm.
And so we'd been at that area for like a couple of days, and I think he was really pissed off, and we were in my car and we were about to leave, and I'm in the driver's seat, and all of a sudden he just like lunges at me and starts choking me. And I mean, there's a part of you, like when you're being choked, that you're going, is this really happening? You know what I mean? It's like, what? So he's choking me, and I'm like pushing on the horn, the car, and no one's coming. I mean, these people hear the car. We were out in the middle of nowhere. You're going to hear a car
Right,
horn.
right, right.
And so anyway, he's like choking me. And then I'm like, well, shit, I'm on my own. So I'm struggling, and I had an SUV at this time. So I don't know how I did it, but I got kind of away from him so I could start digging through the back of my car in the back seat. And my hands and he's like sitting here grabbing at me and trying to pull me down and stuff. And I'm kind of tough. So
Military training.
yes,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Military paved the way for drug addiction. So anyway, so I'm fumbling back there, and my hands, come in contact with this golf club. I didn't have a golf club in the back of my car, Matt Jazz. Okay,
What?
I'm telling you, like angels, I mean, just like God
Wait,
manifest.
you're saying Angel supplied you with a golf club. She's
So
like
I got that golf club, and I just started beating. Get out of my car! And I mean, he got out of my car, and I drove off.
Wait, hold
And
on. So the Angel is like baseball bat or a golf club. Baseball bat's too much.
golf
Golf club.
golf club. That would make a better story as a golf club.
Yes.
Everyone has stories with baseball bats.
Right. I don't, but yeah, baseball bats is more common, right?
Yes.
Wow. So you skipped
Yeah.
that there by a gift from an angel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. That's that is one of the craziest stories I've ever heard.
I know you should see my brothers and sisters when I tell them stories. They're like that too. They're like, we need some popcorn, soda. Michelle's gonna tell a story. But I
So,
saw him again. I saw him again later on back on the mainland. And he's
mm,
like, I just want to talk to you. You know, this is like 2 o'clock in the morning. And he's like, I just want to talk to you. I'm like, no. And he refused. He was holding on to my car. He gets on top of my car and says, I'm not going until you talk to me. So this is funny. So I'm like going into the parking lots of these different stores. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, okay? And I
mm.
would get into a parking lot and I would start doing like circles, trying to throw his ass off my car. And he would not. I swear to God. And I did that I did that multiple times. That dude's like got a grip or something, and
Mm.
he wouldn't get off. But finally I stopped and he got off, and I was so mad. I just kept trying to run him over. I was I'm laughing because I'm like, that was such a different person. But I was so mad. I think in that moment, I was so mad at being the target and victimized so much. I was just taking it all out on him. And he just happened to get these big rocks and would chuck them at the windshield of my SUV. And every time I tried to run him over, he would throw another one and it would hit the windshield. I didn't get to hit
Okay,
him, but
so like
he,
you were just going around with the SUV trying to hit him, and he would be there trying throwing rocks at you.
yes, and he would hit the windshield. The thing was just like, just
Oh
massacre.
man, that
But
SUV
but
might
he
that SUV looked probably like it came from an action movie, just like ramsacked with stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. It was, gutted from all the other times that it was stolen and stuff like that. That poor thing.
Oh my goodness. So that was that the last time you saw that guy?
No, the next time I saw him, he
You faded out.
okay.
All right. So we left off with a guy. So the last time you saw him,
He seemed to have his head on straighter and everything
mm,
was good. He apologized. He says, I don't know what came over me. He said that he had pressure from outside people to, I guess, whack me. And
really? Wow.
yeah, yeah. So
That's how it works in that world. There's a nice person that doesn't respect the code of conduct, and got to get rid of him or her.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Yeah, it was hard.
So I imagine the drug addiction didn't get better. Usually doesn't get better just like that.
No, it definitely got worse. It was like, so it's like it graduates from smoking it to, oh, let me put it in my veins. Let me put it in my neck. Um, you don't even care if you're sharing needles with somebody else. I mean, you're just like, no, it'll be fine.
Mm,
Um, and I mean, just the places you stay, the people you are around, and it was like, um, it's almost like you cut yourself off from everyone else because you're in this environment, and there's so much like self-loathing, about what you've done to your life, but like you don't know how to not. um, and so you don't talk very much to people that are actually on, I guess that world, the real world, because you're so insecure about yourself, and you think that you're going to be judged because you're judging yourself so
mm,
strongly, so you're projecting it. um, but yeah, it continued to get worse. But I did try. There was different times, like I did do a dual diagnosis rehabilitation program through the VA, and so anyway, I would befriend like another veteran, and they would and they'd be like, "Oh, you want to come to my house?" I'm like, "Sure," and we're both like, it's like, my stories now, so you kind of expect these things now. But we get to their house, and we're both like on this journey of getting clean, and then, Bob with dope comes to the door and is like, hey, I got some meth, and she's like, oh, you want to do it? I'm like, yeah. So you know, we're not quite at that point where you can say no. You're just supposed to stay away from it, right?
Right. But and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I got time. Like I got the whole afternoon.
I mean, so there was in me like this wanting to let go of this. It's just like it's almost like it wasn't karmically permissible yet. It's
Yeah.
like every time that I tried, even tried to leave the state, it wouldn't happen. It was just like I was locked into this place and I had to finish whatever it is that I agreed upon or
Mm.
I needed to pay back. Is what I feel.
So it seems
And
like sounds like Washington State was the drug state for you. Like most of the drugs consumed in Washington State.
well, I mean, that's where this very famous TV show Cops, that's very popular in America. I don't know if it is in other places, but that's where it originated at, was in the town that's right next to Tacoma. Might as well be Tacoma. It's called Lakewood. So,
Mm.
yeah, so it's a pretty happening spot.
If I'm not mistaken, I think that they canceled that show because the cops are not so popular in the mainstream now. But I could be wrong.
I don't
Um,
know. I haven't watched it in a long time.
so yeah, so I guess you started to attend. Did you start to attend some kind of groups, or was it just through VA?
No, I did go to NA, which is Narcotics Anonymous, but I would only go when I was high.
That's the time you go, right? You
Yeah,
must be
yeah,
high.
yeah. And then I also tried the 12-step program. So I had gotten a sponsor, and he was also, it was a guy. Normally they don't allow you to have like a guy as a sponsor
Yeah.
for whatever, but this person was the person that I needed in the moment. And he was a veteran too. Uh, and anyway, one day he just, and you depend on your sponsor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, for that encouragement and inspiration and such. Well, he decided that he was going to relapse and he was going to start shooting, what was it? Crack. Yeah. In a hotel room. So did I.
Well, just do what your sponsor tells you.
Yeah. Yeah. So like I said, it was, it wasn't done with me yet. So
Mm.
we continue.
Wow. So you couldn't, you wanted to let go of it, but it wouldn't let you go.
that's it's what it really seemed like. There's another part of the story I don't want to leave out because of what will be talked about later. So I ended up being granted to see my son when he was 3.
Mm.
So this was like I don't know, like 9 months after the fact or something like that,
Mm.
to a year. And I'd already had it arranged that I was going to kidnap him. And because I wanted my child, and his grandma was like, being very, I'm the ruler here, making all the, yeah. And I,
Yeah.
and the ego did not like that at all.
Well, I can't hear you. Something with the mic or audio went out. I don't know what's happening.
uh,
Oh, okay. Now it's back.
where did I?
So you said your ego didn't like that, and then
Okay. So there was this time where Skylar told me on the phone that his mom hits him, and I thought
mm,
that was unusual for him to say, and so it sparked something within me, because of the abuse that I had suffered as a
right,
child,
obviously.
and so I was like, yeah. So I made a plan and had a plane ticket for there, and to return back to Washington State with him. And so it worked out really well because the grandparents dropped him off with me at a hotel, and they had to go to Florida for a funeral or something.
And you're just like, bye bye.
Right. And so I was gonna back out of it, like I started to like kind of crumble, like maybe this isn't a good idea. And I came back. I remember like feeling that when I was outside the hotel room. I smoked at the time, so I was smoking a cigarette. And when I came back in that hotel room, and he just like his head was looking down, and he brought his head up to look into my eyes, and he goes, "Hi, Mama." And I I couldn't. I could not do that.
Mm.
Yeah, I remember that. And so it was not logical. No, I couldn't take care of him in the way he needed to be. It was very emotional. It was just like that biological mom thing.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I did get caught 3.5 weeks later. um,
They call the police, obviously.
yes, because before then I had signed back a little ways. I had signed my rights away temporarily. They
Mm.
said they kind of like conned me into doing that by telling me that Skylar can get on their healthcare insurance if I did this, if I signed this form. And I wanted him to, I wanted to do what I could do for him. It wasn't
Right.
much.
Right.
And so when I did cross those lines, it was considered kidnapping. Um, and so when I got caught, I went to jail. This was not my first rodeo. I was in and out of jail. It's a whole nother story. So I went to jail for that, but I didn't actually get finish the charges for that particular charge until after I was clean for like a year and a half. But they took Skylar, and that kind of sealed my fate with him at that point.
Mm. So you couldn't see him. I mean, he could never come back to you anymore based on just the record of you kidnapping him.
Um, they, because the charge was never reconciled until later, because I don't know, I kept being able to avoid it, but that kept me from being able to have any contact with him. And when I finally did satisfy that charge, because I mean I did break the law and I did need to satisfy that. But when I did that, I was put on probation, so there was more stipulations put on me that I wasn't allowed to try to contact them until after I was off probation.
Mm.
So yeah, so it's like it's so crazy. It's like every time I would try to get close to Skylar, it was like there's this wall, there's a block. It was just like I was put here to give birth to him, but not to be his mom.
Right.
And that, yeah, and that was definitely a hard one.
Yeah.
So anyway.
It's like it wasn't meant to be. Like you were just well, you were the birth mother, but he was. Yeah, it's like you. For it sounds like for years you couldn't have taken care of him anyway.
Mm.
So then, how did you get sober after that terrible experience with the first sponsor?
um yeah, there's like a lot of things going on that of course I wasn't aware of, like I guess you could say behind the scenes.
Hmm.
And I had met um my girls' dad, and he was in the military, and he didn't do drugs. And he was actually the first person to say, "You make all this money, why don't you have a place of your own?" So I mean, he was bringing a little logic, into my life, so I got a place, and but we went to meet his parents for the first time. And I remember just wanting to get back to Washington because I was just wanting to be high. I wasn't happy. I told my daughter's dad that I did not want to marry him. Please don't ask me, because I was in that moment I was very clear. I knew that I
So
wouldn't
so
be clear in another.
you met another guy and you had a daughter and
No. That's who I had my two daughters with.
okay.
Yeah. And but anyway, we went to meet his family. because he did ask me again to marry him, and I said yes, because I knew later on I would be, in what would you call it, survival mode, because I was pregnant with
Mm.
Angelina. And so we went and met his folks, and I just wanted to get back, and I just wanted to get high. And when I got back, um, I went to my dealer, who was my friend's house, and he actually had a conscience. He doesn't deal to pregnant chicks.
Mm.
And but anyway, he left me at his house with another person that was a customer, and he's like, "I'm going to go to the store. You guys behave." So the guy that my friend Paul, that was the drug dealer, left me with, he goes, "Hey, you want some of this?" I'm like, "Yeah." The lighter would not light. The lighter would not light the whole time until Paul comes back into the door, and then it
Wow.
lights. I mean, that's never happened before. I've never had a hard time getting high, like, ever, in the
And
course of like
and the lighter
5
was
years.
not empty, or was it just a
No,
freak thing? Well,
it was a
wow.
pretty freak thing. And so there was more experiences like this. Like, I couldn't get high. Like, I would go to regular places and stuff like that, and it was like, mm-mm. And I felt like in that moment that there was something bigger than me doing something mysterious right here. And I don't know, just in this moment, it was not something that was a thought or anything. It was just very nonverbal. I don't know, I just kind of put my arms out, my head up to the sky, and I said, "Okay, I give up." And I never did it again. I never had a craving. I
Mm-hmm.
My BodyTalk practitioner and mentor set calls it the big surrender. So that was my big surrender to God. And I mean, I still hung out with Paul, the person, that was the drug dealer slash friend. Um, and I went around with him to go deal drugs and stuff because I didn't have any other friends. These are the people that have been, you know what I
Right,
mean?
right, right.
And
So,
I wasn't doing any drugs. These people were so paranoid. They're just like, "She's a cop," But yeah, and there was never, like, it was gone. It was
wow.
completely.
How did that feel like when you had the experience? Was it like, did you see something? Was there a certain knowingness?
I felt like it was done.
Hmm. Wow.
Yeah, it was a feeling of completion. Whatever that is, I don't know, but it felt complete. Absolutely.
Wow. And how old were you then when that happened?
That was let's see, that was December 2006.
Okay.
Um,
Wow.
that was about, I don't know, I don't even 15 years ago or something like that.
Yes, exactly 15 years. Well, not exactly, almost 15.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was about to turn 27.
Hmm. So, um, does that, like, after, even though you were hanging out with the people that were dealing drugs, does that your life change in some way after this?
Yeah, I I started to not, because I started to focus on, because I was 3 months pregnant when I quit, and so I started focusing on getting my life, whatever that means, and to be a mom, and what I agreed upon, to be this wife. Um, and so that's not easy. It was really hard. I stuttered for a long time. It's almost like that world like dumbs you down, because people are not really talking about anything of any substance whatsoever. It's just
Right.
like the getting of meth in any sort of way that you can. And so
Okay, I'm fascinated by this. How does a normal conversation sound like?
um it's just about, like, I don't, it's a good question. Um, we would just talk about different things with different people within that world. And I mean, I would talk about different things. Um, I really don't know. I don't remember.
Hmm. So, and then after a while, you start. Uh, did you start meditating, or did you develop some kind of like, oh, or were you searching for something more?
Um, so it's like there was a lot of the PTSD was like at its height at that time because
Mm.
after the stuttering, it was like every time I closed my eyes, flashes of all the stuff that I went through
Oh,
in the
wow.
drug world would come up. And I mean, that's what greeted me every time I would try to go to sleep or anything like that. It was just like continuous. Um, and so that eventually healed itself. I even had like restless leg syndrome for a while.
Mm.
And that was quite unnerving. Um, I feel like my healing had started, and it couldn't have started until I started taking personal responsibility for what was going on in that moment where I was at right in that moment. Because there was too much supporting evidence for me to just play the victim role. I mean, just recently I was able to let that go. So it's like there's enough juice. To be, oh, I am the world's biggest victim.
Right, right,
All this
right.
stuff is being done, to me, and so I was looking around at my life, and it was quite a mess. And so instead of, how people are like, I rebuild my life. Well, by picking up the pieces and stuff, I feel like it wasn't like that. I feel like I had to start constructing it with new material, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And so I started going, I chose to do this. And so when I started stepping into that role, that's when things started to happen for me.
Mm.
That's when I could start going forward.
Like this is as your role as a mother to your first daughter, and as a wife,
Yes.
and you're probably working at the time as well.
No, I was graced with being a stay-at-home mom.
Hmm. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
and how did you then? Oh, did something happen in between this and you discovering Doc?
Um, let's see. So my mom and I were estranged for a while,
Hmm.
and and then my mom started doing a lot of spiritual healing and stuff. And so I started talking to my mom. I think we had one phone call, probably like at the end of 2007. And when I really started being in touch with her was when I remember I told you about that court date, and I had to fulfill that particular felony. I
Yep.
had went to jail, and I had went to prison as well. And so my mom would write me letters, and she would, tell me things from the Upanishads and Wayne Dyer and Doc and A Course in Miracles.
Hmm.
And so what was interesting was is like in the drug world, I didn't read anymore, and I was always a avid reader. I was also a writer, and so those things like drop. And so while I was in jail, it's like I feel like that was helping me to learn how to read again. So I started reading in jail. So when I got out, I started reading Wayne Dyer.
Oh,
And
that's interesting. So wait, hold on. Let's go back to jail because I was never in jail. How's that experience being in jail?
oh my God. Okay. So what's funny is like all the cops always knew me, they knew to follow me to all the right places.
What do you mean when you were outside the
Yeah,
jail?
when
Okay.
I was in the drug world, like they
Right,
knew
right.
I was always at the hot spots. So yeah, I ended up with I have 3 felonies, and I was in and out of jail like um You know, like at the malls where they have those like revolving doors
Yeah.
that go around. Yeah, that was me going in and out of jail. And you know, and so in jail, it was like you were always holding your breath, wondering who was in there waiting for you.
I
Like,
mean, it could be somebody that wants to take a revenge or something.
yeah, like someone that doesn't like you or something like that.
But this would be a
Um,
chick, though. It wouldn't be any
it would
guys,
be
and
a
that's
chick. Yeah, it would
right,
be a
right.
chick. Yeah, the girls hated me. So,
Oh wow.
yeah, they were quite jealous of me because I was getting all the attention, even though it was terrible attention. Just
What do you mean attention from who?
from all the guys, like all the guys wanted to be around me, be with me, because they just were using me. But I was different than the other girls. Like the other girls were just like, you could tell in their eyes, like they were kind of gone, you know. And
Mm.
me, I was just still like really happy and and bubbly, and so it was different. So I was like the new girl, and you know how guys like the new girl. So anyway, that wasn't very popular with
Wait,
the.
but so there's a meeting within jail, even like they, because you said you were a popular girl, so there must be some way that females interact with guys in jail, or is it just like to the? No,
No,
there's no.
there's just girls. I mean, sometimes you can see the guys like if we're going from one place to another, and
Yep.
there's always ways to like pass messages or whatnot. But no, we were always with females. Um,
So that's how I'm curious. Like, how do they know in jail that you're popular with the guys, or they know you from outside, so that's how they know?
they would have had to have known me from outside. So that's
Oh
why
yeah.
I was, why I was
Okay.
saying you hold your breath because you're like, am I going to meet someone that I already knew?
Oh, got it. Got it.
Yeah, on the outside. So
Interesting
anyway,
world.
so yeah, but you go in jail and there's always that, it could be either an old white woman or an old black woman that everybody calls mama.
Invariably, it's gonna happen.
No, I'm serious. Like, and I've been to jails in different places and stuff. And yes, there's always mama.
She be in jail for 30 years. She know everybody. She's mama.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was pretty funny.
I wonder if it's the same on the other side. If there's a guy they call daddy, probably wouldn't be the same. Nah.
No, that was the ones they called daddy were the girls that I was like trying to talk out of being hookers. So it's a whole different story.
Right. Okay.
um, so, um, okay, so I ended up doing that jail time, and
Mm.
when I got out, I uh, was basically really reunited with my mom. It was like, hmm, I don't know, it's like having an old friend back, except in a different way. Like I don't know, I felt like I got my mom back. It was
Yeah.
really precious. And so I remember starting to read Power versus Force, and I had this crazy experience while I was reading it. Like my abdomen just started vibrating. I was just like, "What the hell's going on?" I'm like looking at the book, looking down. I'm like, who can you tell this to? You know what I mean? So anyway,
I'm getting pregnant with a book.
I how do I explain this?
Oh man.
Yeah, so and then I started watching I started listening to Doc lecture. I my first lecture I listened to was The Way to God, the 2012, but it was The Way Through the Heart.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with Doc at that moment. Like it really spoke to me like nothing, like none other. And it all just like something inside of me, just like it was like a confirmation, and everything within me like agreed with everything. It was like this is where I'm meant to be. And so my mom and I we shared that. And I'm not saying that it wasn't a wacko ride, because my mom was still pretty wacko, but I mean, it was still a really it was still a really good time, and I met a lot of people like you, and and I had friends that were, you know, into the same thing, and I was just really I don't know, I just felt like that's where the healing was at, like and so I was hooked. And so I just couldn't stop listening to Doc and reading all the books, and then going to that lecture that we both went to.
Was
um
that your only lecture, like for
that was my only lecture. I got into the game late, you know.
Wow, wow. But wow, because you never know the history of people when you go there. I would have never thought that just 5 years prior to, or 6 years prior, or whatever, you were still dealing with drugs, or going around with meth addicts and stuff like that. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, with the golf club, you know. Yeah. um
Because I remember that you took a picture of me. I remember in
yeah,
this
you said it was
at
the
the
best picture that
yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, this is just before the lecture, I think. Yeah.
Mhm.
When I was looking for my buddy Kevin.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were there.
I was.
Wow. And how would you say would you say that his work has uh impacted your life since then as well? Like, it's evolved, obviously. You're doing now BodyTalk as well.
Yeah. Yeah, Doc's work has given me like the tools and the things that I need, and all the reminders, and just the knowingness that yeah, to walk straight ahead, and um and everything's going to be fine. And it's just like all the different things that he has said, like you know, seeing is believing to a lot of us. And I see them just like manifest into my own life, and just blown away. Um, but I did need some help. Well, you know, we can talk about my new husband, right? So,
Sure, sure.
but no, we got to go back. Oh my God.
Wait,
Um,
wait. I think I met your husband, like, in Sedona, probably.
you
I'm not.
probably did. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I think so. So back from there, we'll just touch on these things. I don't know, like getting in touch with Doc, like really, I don't know, started bringing up stuff that I was in denial about. And it kept coming up that my current marriage was, I knew it, but I buried it so deeply so that I didn't have to look at it anymore. But that my
Mm.
current marriage was not where I needed to be, and that I was very unhappy, and I was. Um, and and so right before, probably like a year before I separated from the current husband, um, I got a phone call from Skylar's grandma, my
Mm.
son. And she's like, "Oh, I think this would be a good time for you to be in his life." Because I always wrote letters, and I always tried, and nobody would contact me. Like I always sent cards, and I tried. You know, they changed their phone number, so I didn't have like a direct connection. You know, to
Yeah.
be able to see somebody. But Skylar did not want anything to do with me. He was like 15 at the time. So he was, you know, he was like, screw her, you know, just kind of like angry, which I
Yeah.
understand. And he's filled with all kinds of lovely stuff about me, I'm sure, you know, growing up. The thing that happened was my brothers and sisters had gotten involved, and they started friending him, and I would follow him anonymously, and I would talk to him without him knowing it was me. And it
On
was really
Facebook or stuff like that?
like Instagram, actually.
Oh, okay.
I felt like this little, it was crazy. Like yeah, I felt like a little schoolgirl. You know, I was looking at this child, you know, that I hadn't seen since he was 3. and he was so beautiful. And so anyway, my brothers and sisters friended him, and Skylar was trying to move to Georgia, where a couple of my siblings lived along with me. We lived in different towns, but Skylar wanted to meet them, and I was asked to come too. So I got to meet Skylar. It was March of 2018. And he was so big, he was so beautiful. And I got to hug him. And, I got to touch him. And it was just, it was surreal. And, but he was so sick. He had schizophrenia.
Mm.
And he was sitting here talking to us, telling us about his life and telling us about this underground world, and it sounded a lot like Halo, you know what I mean? And that he was like this sergeant and stuff, and he killed all these people. And that it's not true. But I mean, how are you going to deny someone's reality, especially when you haven't been in your son's life, almost his whole life?
He probably played some Halo too.
Yes, he did play Halo. He had like a online account and everything.
Right.
Yeah. And so I had to make like one of the hardest decisions in my life that day, because like my whole life, coming to this moment, I always wanted Skylar to be with me. And he asked me if he could live with me, and I had to tell him no. I had 3 girls at home, including my Chris's daughter, and I couldn't do that. I felt
but this is like a couple of years ago, 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I had to say no to him, and that was really hard. And when he went back to Mississippi and I went back to North Carolina, we stayed in touch. I got to help him. He was writing a book. I got to help him edit it. I got him to get on some medication for schizophrenia, but he wouldn't stay on it because it started making him feel not schizophrenic, and so the different voices were like, it's trying to change us, and that sort of thing.
Right. What kind of book was he writing, by the way?
He was writing a book about the 12 different personalities that inhabit his head. So it was 12. Mm-hmm.
Did he have that multiple personality disorder? Some maybe that undiagnosed.
That's what he was saying.
So
it's called what is it? Schizoaffective or something like that he got diagnosed with. So I don't know, just like at the end, he was very angry. He's like, if you don't let me live with you, I'm just going to kill myself. And, it's like, you're my only option is what he said. And, yeah, like 6 months after I met him, like exactly 6 months after I met him, he killed himself. And I didn't believe him.
Wait, you didn't believe the news? You didn't? Well, you didn't believe his threat, basically. Okay.
No. And yeah, that was insane. It sent me into like a very deep depression whirlwind, where I would drop the kids off at school. Like I would keep myself okay, and then I would just drive around aimlessly. It was pretty lost. But before that, I met Chris from my new husband. I mean, not so new, but I mean my current husband.
Wait, hold on.
Soulmate.
So, hold on. I'm not gonna skim over this.
No, I can come back to that. I'm just like, people are like, well, Chris, how'd you meet him? So
yeah, but
you're the star. So
I don't.
Go ahead.
Well, I don't know if I'm the star. I'm just curious. Like, I don't know if you could have done anything better, because I think the situation, I don't know. It's
No, I couldn't have.
did you ever, when you were in the drug world, wherever people sometimes threatening to kill themselves if they don't get certain drugs? Was that a thing? Were you exposed to that
I
before?
um I I don't think so. I think people made different threats and stuff like that about things, but I'm not sure if it was directly
Hmm.
suicide.
Right. But I
Yeah.
think because you were exposed to so much trauma and things, um like otherworldly things happening, that this didn't seem like it was real, like his threat.
Nothing that came out of his mouth was very honest. I mean, I remember when he told me he loved me for the first time, I was kind of in shock, so I didn't like say it back. I didn't know if it was true or not, and so when nothing but lies come out of someone's mouth, I mean, I just thought he was just trying to get me to do what he wanted me to do.
Mm.
Yeah,
You've learned from all the experiences you've had prior to that, the in the drug world, the uh
yeah.
the passenger, what was the passenger doll?
Tasmanian devil.
That's, oh man, that's straight out of a movie, Tasmanian Devil.
Yeah, I know, right?
So then, at some point before that, you meet Chris. Was
Yeah,
Chris? I think, was he the guy that was a dishwasher at one point? I guess a lot of people were dishwashers. Was he the one that was like? Nah, no, never mind. Sorry, I'm confusing it with somebody else. Go ahead.
I know he worked with Ben at some hotel at one time, and
Mm,
he did different things. But yeah, he was definitely in Sedona for
yeah.
years. So you most likely ran into him. What's really funny is this is very divinely done too. Is that Chris has been watching, like saw me and knew who I was and was subscribed to my YouTube channel. You know, just all these things. And I saw him as well because Ben had made a video, music video that had some of us doc students in it, and like Chris and his daughter Aiden were like right after me and Angelina, our picture. I was like, who's that? But we had like a bunch of Facebook friends, never got like the invite to, and friend him. And that's really weird because we had like 20 something, 30 something friends. It
Mm,
would be, it would be actually logical, with how computers run, that we would have gotten, a friend suggestion.
yes.
So when I, when I
The
was,
angel was like, not yet, not yet.
I
Blocked
know,
it, blocked it.
I know, right?
The time is
So
not
I,
right.
that's true.
She
So when
doesn't
I
deserve
separated,
him yet.
that's right. That's right. We weren't ready for each other yet. So when I separated from the girls' dad, I don't know. I didn't want to date. I didn't want to. I was just like, this is. I'm no. I don't want to do this. I want to figure out what I want. What I want. I
Mm,
remember explaining this to you like on
yeah.
Messenger. But I was like, well, what do I want? And so I just started listing off different qualities of what I wanted from a person. I wanted someone with a beautiful heart, came from the place of love, and just different things like that. And it still didn't feel complete. And I remember this one time, like, yes, sitting on the toilet, like, I don't know, great things happen. I'm pretty sure Einstein was like sitting on the toilet and all these great, wonderful things came from that. But
Right.
anyway, I was sitting there and then it just, I was like, I want someone who's like me. And it's like, there was like this click. Like it's like you just feel it like it's all clicked in place. And like I knew what I wanted, and it was time. And so like 2 days later, I got that I got that friend suggestion.
There you go. There you go.
And
She
so
better click on it too.
Yeah, and so I contacted him, and I said, "Looks like we have a lot of, friends in common, and I don't remember the rest of it, but that was July 1st, 2017, and we've been together since."
Wow, that is amazing.
Uh, yeah,
That
yeah. Our relationship has honestly turned into like our pathway to enlightenment. And
mm,
it's like it's not necessarily like it's beautiful, but understand that we started getting to work on, I guess you could say, like from the first day that I came and visited him, we uh, started getting to work.
getting to work meaning spiritual work, like
Yeah, spiritual work. Yeah, absolutely.
meditating and Course in Miracles. What's your style?
I'm saying that we were holding up the mirror in front of each other, and we
Hmm.
could, yeah, so we could have decided at that, moment, oh my God, this is too much. But no, it was perfect conditions for us to, yeah, get close to our heart and evolve. So I said, okay, let's do this.
A- And was he in a different state than you?
Yeah, North Carolina, and I was in Georgia. So I was driving back and forth. I was
Hmm.
courting him, as I call it.
You were driving on your own dime. You were like driving there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Was
And
happy to.
people outside the US don't understand how big US is. Even, going between states is like going between countries here, and big countries too. Um,
Okay.
so it takes a lot of dedication. But yeah, wow. I like I said before, because I remember when I met you at the last lecture, and I remember there was a you had a short conversation with somebody, and you were like, "Oh, they tell me that this question has been asked. I don't care. I'm gonna ask him again." And it turned out to be a really great question about letting go. And
Yeah.
I remember you gave him like a shirt, "Trust me, I'm
Yeah.
a doctor," or something like
Yeah.
that, a blue shirt.
Yeah.
Uh, I know because I've seen the YouTube video. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I
A
also
lot of,
was there. But yeah.
yeah.
Amazing. Is there anything we left out?
Okay. So I guess the only thing would be like, so Chris and I have like a really great relationship. It's had its turbulent times, but honestly, you know how like in relationships where people are like, as time goes on, it, gets drier. And I would have to say like the longer that we're at this, the more richer, the better that we know each other, the closer that we get. Um, yeah, it's just more beautiful with each day as it unfolds. We're really, really, really blessed. So I knew I had Doc's work, but I knew I needed some help with healing, and I finally broke down and contacted Jacob, and he did
Mm,
spiritual counseling with, he also did BodyTalk. And so I started doing BodyTalk with Jacob for about a year and a half, and I never seen such gorgeous results, in my life, like anything I've ever tried.
was this every month or every 2 months?
Um, it's kind of sporadic.
Hmm.
So like it was kind of like when I felt like I needed to. But sometimes it would be, at first it was like once a month. We also do marriage body talk as well.
Oh
Um,
wow! Like both people at the same time?
yeah, Chris and I will do marriage body talk, and I got taught how to do that too. So yeah, it's phenomenal for the
Is it better
marriage.
than marriage counseling? Maybe.
I think it's the same thing, to be
Okay.
honest. Yeah, it's different, you know. Um,
You don't have to talk it out. It's just on energy, mostly. Or
mostly, but honestly, like he'll ask a question. How do you see, what is Michelle doing? That's blah, blah, blah. And he'll go blah, blah, blah. And, it's like when that person's talking, honestly, sometimes, especially if you're having a problem, you're just like, I don't know, like clenching your fist going, that's not true, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
anyway, and then you get your turn to talk and express yourself. And yeah, it's just that's been very helpful as well, because we we had given the advice, we say our marriage vows to each other every day, pretty much.
What? I have never heard this before.
Yeah, I
Wow.
know. It works because you are, what I realized is that when you're not feeling it, you're reading these words, even though you don't feel it, because there's all this like ego resistance
Mm-hmm.
and you know, being angry or something like that, resentments or something. But when you're reading the words that you wrote initially when you're getting married, it's like you're stepping into those things that you're promising.
Yeah.
Like you are becoming those things, and it is very miraculous.
Wow. So you basically read that dedicating
Yeah.
yourself every
Every
day, and it's also an affirmation. And
yes.
wow, I'm
Yeah.
shocked. I never heard of this before, but it's actually a great idea, especially if you have like any, like, I know some people repeat affirmations, or what's their dedication in life, or what do you call it, declaration, yeah.
Yeah.
They repeat that, but I've never heard this, but this is such a great idea. this,
Yeah.
this should probably be it. There's probably a book about this somewhere that I don't know about.
Yeah. I've never heard of it myself, and so we just we do a prayer before that, asking for, like, the highest vision of our marriage, or love's perfect vision for our marriage, to be revealed, and to keep our hearts open and connected to each other. And so that's how we do our best to step forward, with each day.
And yeah, I worked with you for a while, I think a few months now, and then that was
Couple months, yeah.
we really yeah, I would really respect Body Talk. Has been uh, it's such a good technique, and you get in such a deep level, and you recently got like fully qualified, right, in Body Talk.
Yeah, I got certified. It was like after having body talk sessions and just like hearing about, because your practitioner will say different things out loud, and I was just like, what is that? It was just, and I always wanted to help people, and I saw that this is something that gets to the root. It's not just like, it's like psychology is helpful, but it's like it's a piece of the pie. And I feel like, all these different things are within body talk. It's just
Yeah.
the you have to be like open, and you have to be ready to really dig deep, because it gets into all your skeletons, all those things that are blocking the communication within your body. If you're ready, it'll bring it up to be balanced and to be released. So yeah, it's beautiful. I've watched not just my own healing, but within my family, and also since I started working on being certified, just being in that practitioner position, watching other people like heal and unfold and bloom right in front of you is just spectacular. And I'm just like, I really feel like I'm fulfilling my potential now, and just overjoyed.
Hmm. I think, yeah, when I hear you talk about this, yeah, it's yeah, once I considered doing it actually, but I never decided to do it. I may do it at some point. I'll see. But yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and I'm glad you chose Body Talk. It's and I wish more people knew about it too. That's part of the reason why I'll probably have more Body Talk people on the podcast, because I really respect and admire this modality. So, but wow, your story is incredible. Like I said, never would have thought in a million years all that you've experienced. It's just wow. Yeah, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Really appreciate sharing your story, and sure people get a lot out of it.
Thank you, Matt Jazz. Is it okay if I like say something like a promotional sort of
Yep, go
thing?
ahead.
I'm sure that you'll put like my information in it, but anybody that would like to try Body Talk, I give a free session just to kind of see if it's a good fit, and then we go from there. So you can call or text because I'll leave my phone number, or you can email me, and we'll get started. And if you like Body Talk, and I'm not the good fit, there are tons of wonderful practitioners, and I'm sure there's a great one for everybody. So.
Wait, you offering a free session to all the viewers?
Yeah, if they want a free session, the first one's free, and then
You might get a lot of free requests
that
in when this posts.
that's fine. My internet will be better then.
Awesome, awesome. Cool. Thank you again for being on the podcast.
Thank you, Matt Jess.
And thank you everybody for listening and watching.